Hi, welcome back to my channel. My name is Vanessa, and if you're new here, I teach second grade in Southern California. Today I'm going to be filming a little bit of a different kind of video. I wanted to compile a list of my 5 favorite Halloween activities to do in the classroom. And I chose these activities. These are not necessarily like my products in my TPT shop. I am like the queen of just downloading free stuff off of TPT. If I ever need anything, the first thing I always do is I go to TPT and I like search what I want, and then I always click the free filter, just because like I don't want to have to pay for something if I can find it for free. And then a lot of times if I still can't find it, I'll end up just making it myself because it's something that maybe is a little bit too specific. So most of these activities I have done in the years past. I haven't necessarily used the product from TPT, but I've done an activity that's either like this or the exact same activity. What I'm going to do is I'm going to link down below the activity pack that would go well with this. It doesn't necessarily mean that I've used it, but I know after doing some research that it would be a great activity that I would personally use with my class, and I will link it down below, and I'll just put them in order, and all of them will be free products that I've just found on TPT. I think one of them I don't have any sort of thing that goes with it, just because it's kind of almost just like a free project. So make sure to look down below for those TPT products. I'm not going to go into like super detail with each project. I'll just kind of give you a snippet just in case you're looking for something to do with your class during Halloween time. I know personally my school doesn't let us do like Halloween parties or I mean, not necessarily Halloween parties, but any type of parties like that. They rather us keep it, I guess, educational and things academic rather than just letting us have fun, which kind of stinks because my old school, we did have parties for literally everything. So I figure these are things that you could do at school that are still academic, but the kids would still have fun doing it. So my first activity I found on TPT, and so it is probably more for the younger grades, but you could adapt it, I think, to fit the older grades, or just do it and it'd just be a fun activity for the older grades. And so what you're going to do is, I know in the actual pack she has certain things that they're supposed to use to build a monster, and so it's a STEM project, and so they're going to plan out what they want their monster to look like based off of the items that they have. And so if it were a younger grade, maybe you could just have out like a bunch of stuff and then let them kind of pick and choose maybe 5 things that they want to use or something like that. And then maybe for the older kids, you're going to like force them to use a certain number of each item, and then have the items be a little bit more complex for them to have to put together. So on the actual TPT product, I believe she has them use the items, and then they have to build a monster that has or that is bigger than 4 blocks, and she has like a picture of the blocks on there. If I were to do this with my class, I would have some sort of like end goal, because I feel like with STEM you need comparison, like it needs to be at least as big as this, or it needs to be the biggest in the class or something like that. So you could have them like compare it to something else, or like whoever can build the biggest monster in the class, that would be kind of cool too. I think this is actually something, I have not used this with my class, but I do think this is something that I want to use this year on Halloween, because I've been trying to do more STEM this year. This is kind of the first year I've dipped my toes a little bit more in STEM projects, and having them actually plan out what they want their monster to look like, build it, and then make changes if it doesn't turn out the way that they want it to. I will go ahead, like I said, I will link that activity pack down below. I believe it's actually built for a kindergarten class, but like I said, you could easily just change the activity and make it your own, and you don't even have to use that TPT product. You could just sort of make the rules on your own and make the page sheets for your own. You don't even need sheets for it really, you just need a white piece of paper, plan it out, and then let the kids start building. My next activity I actually just did yesterday, so it's super fresh in my mind. I taught Saturday school yesterday, and I was trying to find something that would be science-based. The other 2 teachers, we do rotations, and so the other 2 teachers were doing something that was science-based, and so I figured I would go ahead and just keep it, and we could do like a science day sort of. So each rotation was 45 minutes to an hour, but depending on like how long the transition took. The activity was candy corn experiment. And so we put 4 cups on, or I put 4 cups on each table, and in the 4 cups, I just completely went off of a TPT product that will be linked down below. And I keep saying she just because I'm assuming all these sellers were she's. If they're he's, I'm sorry. But she had so you put the candy corn inside of 4 different types of liquids, and I just copied what she has, which was water with baking soda, water with vinegar, and then salt water. And then you could just kind of document the changes. I actually only used 1 of the 2 sheets that she actually had in the pack, just because of time. I didn't have all day to spend. And then I had to also make this activity suitable for TK through 5th grade, because when we do Saturday school, we just mix all of the kids. And so I kind of struggled to find an activity that would work for all age groups. And I figured this one was an easy one because the older kids could write if they wanted to, and the younger kids could just draw if they wanted to. What I had the students do was I used the page, I think it's the 2nd page in the pack, and it just has boxes on either side. And so they have 4 boxes for each type, 1 box for each type of liquid, and they predict what they think is going to happen to the candy corn after 10 to 15 minutes sitting in that liquid. So you put 1 piece of candy corn, and I just did 1 set of cups at each table. You could have every kid each like have their own set of cups. Just for sake of time, I just felt like it was easier to just have 1 per group, and then each could just sort of look at it. They make their predictions, and then you wait 10 to 15 minutes. So I actually just brought them back to the carpet, and I read them a story, and then we went back to our desks and looked at the changes that were made. And it was so cool to see the kids go back and they're like, whoa, because I feel like once they see something has changed, they're always surprised because, I don't know, maybe they don't think anything's gonna happen. They document now afterward what had actually happened to the candy corn. And you could take this so much further and actually go into all the reasoning as to why that happened with that liquid. There's so many different things you could do with it. Like I said, I was, pretty strict on 45 minutes, and I also had TK in there, so it was just more of a fun activity for us to do, and the kids really enjoyed it. I liked that the older kids were able to do the writing and explain what they saw, and then the younger kids were able just to draw it, and that was it. The next activity doesn't actually have a TPT product or anything because it's just simply an art project. At my old school, we would go to the pumpkin patch every year, and when we went to the pumpkin patch, they would give us, or each student, a miniature pumpkin. Not like the little tiny ones, but like the round ones that were like this big. And we always wanted to do like pumpkin carving or something like that, but that's like not gonna happen at school. Like pumpkin carving, knives, no thank you. So what we decided to do one year was to actually have the kids paint the pumpkins. And so we took all the kids outside and just put a bunch of butcher paper all down the big long like lunch tables. And we put a bunch of different plates of paint out, and each kid, I think, had their own little plate of paint. Then they just got to paint their pumpkin, and then they let it dry. The tempera paint does end up like peeling off of it after a while, but if you're only using it for a few days and the pumpkin's gonna get thrown away anyway, I don't really see a big deal with it. I guess if you really wanted to make it stay, maybe spray a clear spray paint over the top of it. That would probably keep it for longer, or just don't put your hands on it and keep it out of the sun. But the kids have a ton of fun with this, and it was a little bit of a different thing than just carving pumpkins. I just feel like they enjoyed it a little bit more, and then we didn't have to worry about knives, and it was just a fun painting party. So the next activity also does not have a TPT product with it, because this is just something that I would do with my kids. I have not done this activity, but it's something that I do plan on doing this year, but it is very similar to things I do in my classroom all the time. So we like to do research projects a lot. I thought it'd be a great idea to take some of the more Halloween type animals, such as bats, different kinds of spiders. You could even have them research pumpkins. I know we know like the basics of pumpkins, but maybe they could do research more of the history of pumpkins, whereas the bats and the spiders, you could go more into the science side of it and like what do we know about these animals and what kind of things can we learn about them. Get Epic is a great resource to use for the students to do research on, or you can just find different websites, and then I always just send them the link for the website in Google Classroom, or however you would send them something. My kids are one-to-one, so I could do this project individually or I can do it together, and then the final product I would have them create probably a Google slideshow and show what they have learned. And for my kids especially, I would give them guidelines as to what they needed to research. So I might say, you know, research what that animal eats, and research where that animal lives, research you know, what the animal does, different things about it, rather than just kind of letting them like free find what they want. And then same with the Google slide, is I would probably have it already set up for them and then just send it to them through Google Classroom, and have each slide like set up already with what information should go on that slide, just because I feel like it makes it a little bit easier. I feel like if you're third and beyond, you wouldn't even need to do this, but for my kids, like at this time, that's how I would set it up. Even later in the year, I probably wouldn't need to do that. I know last year I would just send them one like blank slideshow and then just let them kind of go for it. So it just kind of depends on your class and their abilities with technology. Another thing you could do, instead of having them create something like a Google slideshow or a poster, is you could actually have them film like a video, maybe like commercial style, teaching other students about the animal or about whatever it was that they researched. I think that would be kind of cool to do. I haven't quite decided how I want to do mine yet this year, but I do know that's something that I want to do on Halloween, just because I know my school likes to keep things still academic based and still like rigorous, but I like to make things a little bit more fun, I guess. It would also be nice if you had Jehovah's Witnesses in your class who don't celebrate Halloween, or anyone in general who doesn't celebrate Halloween. You could do a lot of these activities and make them not Halloween based and make them just more like fall based, or you know, it just is science with bats. The last activity I'm going to tell you about is candy corn and toothpick building. So I know a lot of you guys have probably seen the marshmallow with a toothpick building, and you could completely just take like one of those activities from TPT. I actually don't even think I'm gonna link one down below, because there are so many out there that are probably just as good as any other, but you could use the same concept as the marshmallow building. You only get, you know, X amount of candy corn and X amount of toothpicks, and you have to build the tallest tower in the class. I think that would be such a fun activity to just get the kids collaborating and get the kids building something and planning it out, and it wouldn't be something that would take a lot of academics, but it would still like look good if you did that on Halloween. It's not like you're just coloring or something. So you could use either candy corn, or you could use those like candy corn type, but like the pumpkins. I think that would be really cool too. And they might actually be a little bit easier to use those because they are like bigger. If you were using it with the younger grades, I would say probably use those pumpkins, and then just group up the kids in groups of like 2, 3, or 4. So I guess I really only have 2 TPT products to link down below, but I will link those down there. And if there's any products that I come across that spark my interest that I think that you guys would enjoy as well, I'll go ahead and link those down below too. It just won't be something that I talked about in the video, but if you're looking for an activity and you're not sure what to do, I hope one of these helped you out. I hope that you enjoyed this video, and I hope that you subscribe to my channel, and let me know if you want me to do one of these types of videos for Thanksgiving maybe, and then maybe one for Christmas as well. Don't forget to follow me on Instagram, and I will catch you guys in my next video.